Satnam everyone, welcome back to the Aquarian Shift. In this video today, I am going to talk about something called the Uranus Opposition, otherwise known as the midlife crisis. This is a really important point in a life journey, one of three of the most critical sort of soul level check-ins that we get. So I'm going to explain what the Uranus opposition is, tell a little bit about my experience with it because I'm about to go through it and I've been preparing for it, and then I'm going to talk a little bit about what you can do to prepare yourself for it and give you a tool that you can start doing in the form of a meditation that will help get you through your Uranus opposition. And I look at these things as opportunities. That's why I titled this video Midlife Crisis, Uranus Opportunity. So let's talk first about some astrology basics. When you were born, the planet Uranus was at a certain place in the sky, and it's noted at a certain place in what we call your natal chart. That's the chart that shows the positions of the planets at the time you were born. If you have your natal chart and you see this glyph that's on my shirt, this is the planet Uranus. So that's where the planet Uranus was at the time you were born. And no, I do not have a shirt with every single planetary gift, although goals, we need goals, so maybe. Anyways, look at your chart, figure out where the planet Uranus is, and that's going to tell you where your natal Uranus is. It falls in a specific house, and it's in a specific sign, and that's going to tell you some of the themes that you're going to be dealing with around Uranus energy over your lifetime. Now, what is Uranus? What does Uranus represent? Well, Uranus is, as Jeffrey Wolf Green says in Evolutionary Astrology, freedom from the known. It's the desire for you on a soul level to be free from something that has held you captive, to be free from something that has held you back. Uranus is also a planet of sudden changes. It's a planet of revolutions, and it's a planet of technological advances. When we talk about the Uranus opposition, we're talking about the point that is essentially midlife, although everybody's life is very different. But if we're looking at a lifespan of about 80 some odd years, the Uranus opposition happens when Uranus is exactly opposite in the sky where it was the time that you were born. So when you were born, the planet Uranus was at a certain place, it was in a certain sign, and then about 40 to 42 years later, you're at the midpoint in your life, and it's exactly opposite that. The orbit of the planet Uranus is 84 years. That's how long it takes Uranus to go around the sun. So for you in your life, your Uranus opposition takes place around the age of 42. And the exact timing of the Uranus opposition will vary from person to person because Uranus spends different amounts of time in each of the signs. It retrogrades, and so that doesn't allow for an exact science of like, yes, it's exactly 42 years. But if you know your chart and you have your chart, you can figure out the exact points of when Uranus is going to exactly oppose when transiting Uranus is going to exactly oppose your natal Uranus. And if you would like for me to look at your chart, please DM me. I just need your date of birth, your time that you were born, and the city and state that you were born in, and then I can figure out your Uranus opposition dates. You will start to feel the energy of change and the need for change before your Uranus opposition starts to happen. So let's say that your Uranus opposition is going to be at age 42. You might start feeling that as early as age 38. I know I did. You might not feel it you might not feel it till when it gets closer. That's going to be very unique for each individual. But we say that when a planet is about 5 degrees from where when a planet is about 5 degrees away from the point that we're talking about. So in this point, we're talking about the Uranus opposition. That's when we say that it is in orb, and you can really start to feel its effects. So when you get to be around 38, 39, it's a really good time to start taking stock of your life and start looking at what are the areas in your life that are unfulfilled. What are the areas in your life that you need to liberate yourself from? What are the belief systems that haven't been serving you? What are the thought patterns? What is the family pattern? What is the conditioning? What is it that's holding you back? And what is it that you haven't worked through and you haven't processed? Start to identify that in your late 30s, and you're setting yourself up for having a successful Uranus opposition. Most people don't do this. So what the Uranus opposition tends to look like is the classic midlife crisis. This is the guy that abruptly leaves his wife, has an affair with his 20-year-old secretary, buys a red Ferrari, and finds his life completely in shambles and in ruin. We all know that story. What's really happening is your soul is asking you, are you doing what you came here to do? Because we have two paths that we can take in a lifetime. We have the destiny path, and we have the fate path. Most of us are on the fate path until we decide to interrupt it and go on the destiny path. Fate says the world is going to whirl, and you are going to be beholden to the world. And whatever happens, whatever comes your way, you're just a victim of it. And you're just here moving along with it. Fate is not a very empowering existence. Destiny, that's the goal. Because when you're on the destiny path, what you're saying is, okay, the world is doing whatever it's doing, and it's challenging me. And circumstances in my life have come up, and they've challenged me. And I've had things happen to me that were terrible, bad, unfair, whatever. All of that's been challenging. But I am going to take command, and I am going to take control, and I am going to do what I know I came here to do. Most of us just get on the fate train because that's the easy thing to do. You know, we got to pay bills. Many of us get into marriages and have kids. We got to, take care of all of them. And then we just start doing things that are not really that fulfilling because we got to get money in the door to take care of everybody that needs taken care of. And we forget that fire within us that is the literal embers of our destiny. And we don't feed that fire. And that's how we fall off of the destiny path, and we fall into fate. So the Uranus opposition comes up to ask you, hey, you came to this planet to do something. Are you doing it? And for most people, the answer is no. And then most people have a crisis. But you don't have to have a crisis. You can have a victory. So the real question that you want to be asking yourself is, what did you come here to do? And if you're past Uranus opposition, that's okay. You can change courses at any time. But if you're past the age of 42 and Uranus opposition has already happened, you could probably look back at your life and see that if you didn't make those changes, you probably had some very sudden, unexpected, and difficult things come up and happen to you. And I'm doing this video and talking about this because I want everybody to know about this and get prepared for this, because I think it's really important. Now, I want to just take a step back and talk about what I like to think of as like the three cosmological checkpoints that we all get in a lifetime. A lot of people are familiar with the term Saturn return. Uranus opposition needs to become even more familiar in the popular lexicon, in my opinion. And then there's also the Chiron return, which, again, that also needs to become familiar. And I'm about 8 years away from my Chiron return, so I will get focused on that once this Uranus opposition is over, and I'm sure I'll be sharing what I learn about that with all of you. But I want to talk very briefly about what those three things are. So your Saturn return happens around the time that you're 29. Saturn takes about 29 years to orbit the sun. And when it returns to the position in your natal chart that it was at the time you were born, that's called the Saturn return. Saturn is all about structure. And the Saturn return is about how you have structured your life And do you like the way you structure your life? Do you like the way you structured your life? And for a lot of people, the answer at age 29 is no, because a lot of people just kind of stumbled into whatever career they stumbled into. They, got whatever job out of college they studied something in college that later on they realized they didn't really like. They got into a relationship with somebody who is growing very different from the way that they're growing. And then they get to 29 and those things start to change. Suddenly they lose their job or they quit their job, their relationship ends. The city that they've always lived in, they leave it and they go somewhere else. These are very structural things that come up during your Saturn return. So that's checkpoint 1. Then, you restructure your life, you figure out what you want this next phase of your life to be structured like, and you're living it. And then when you get to around 42, you have the Uranus opposition, which is what I talked about. And that's the point in your life where you have to really start to move toward your destiny if you're not already there. Then at age 50, we get what's called the Chiron return. And the Chiron return is really important because it has to do with core wounds. So Chiron in Chiron in mythology, Chiron in astrology is the archetype of the wounded healer. So when Chiron returns to your chart in its orbit, when Chiron in its orbit returns to the place in your natal chart, that's a point when you're really asking yourself, what were those deep wounds that I had that I came here to heal? And have I healed them? And if not, that's an opportunity for those wounds to be healed. And what happens during all of these checkpoints is that situations and circumstances will arise that will confront you, that will challenge you, that will present themselves as often being very difficult. And they're doing that to facilitate you growing into the direction and going on the path that you came here to go on and grow on. It's all happening for us. It's not happening to us. I have to remind myself of that on a daily basis. And when I do remind myself of that, I feel much better. So Uranus opposition. I want to say a few more things about this. One of the things that happens during Uranus opposition is that men and women tend to experience it a little bit differently because men and women have, and I'm being general here, typically avoided working on themselves in different ways. So with men, usually the energy is all caught in the second chakra, which is the sacral chakra, where your sexual energy is, and it needs to move from there to the heart. So the challenge usually for men during Uranus opposition is they need to move the sexual energy into the heart center. This is why you see a lot of men having affairs with young women when they're in their early 40s as part of their midlife crisis, because they're not moving the energy. See, what their soul is telling them to do is, hey, you've been relating to the opposite sex or the same sex in a very sexual way. But you need to be now relating to it in a heart-centered way, because those are two very different experiences. And for many men, we have a hard time moving that energy from the sacral to the heart. Now, for women, typically where the energy gets blocked is here in your solar plexus. This is your command center. This is where your power and authority is. And it needs to move from your solar plexus to your throat chakra, because that's where you're speaking your truth. That's where you're saying what it is you want to say. Women have, for the past many millennium, been oppressed, suppressed. They've literally had their power taken away from them by a patriarchal structure. And then, even now, when we live in a world where there is much more equality and there is much more opportunity, oftentimes, women will tell you that they have surrendered their power and they've surrendered their authority. And many times they've done this without consciously being aware of that. So the challenge is moving the energy here where it's blocked, where you've given away and surrendered your power and authority, and moving it up through the channels into the throat chakra so that you can speak your truth and you can start standing up for yourself and you can start being more assertive and more self-authoritative. Now, we live in a time where the gender polarities are changing, and I'm talking about things in a generalized way here. You can be a man, you can be a woman, and you may have the opposite experience. It's highly unique to you. I will say for me, on my own journey, it's mostly been about moving the energy from the second chakra to the fourth chakra, because like most men, especially gay men, I think, that is how I have related, and I need to now be relating in the heart. But also, I have given away my power and I have given away my authority, and I haven't been using my voice. So this is an opportunity for me to really step into both and really be aware that, like, hey, with my Uranus opposition, my intention is to be relating from the heart and speaking truth. So that's part of why I do these videos now. This is one of the things I've got to work through during my opposition. I became aware of the Uranus opposition through I think, amazing wisdom keeper and wonderful astrology author named Barbara Hand Clow. She has written a great book that I recommend anybody interested in this topic get. It's called Astrology and the Raising of the Kundalini, and her name is Barbara Hand Clow. I became familiar with her through Guru Jagat, who actually had her at the Rama studio and interviewed her. Did 3 really great reality riffing podcasts with her, which I recommend you find on YouTube and listen to. But one day I was hiking Runyon Canyon, and this was like at the beginning of 2021, and I don't remember who was interviewing Barbara Hand Clow. It was not Guru Jagat. And I don't remember the topic because it wasn't Uranus opposition. But as an aside, she said the word Uranus opposition and then gave a very brief explanation for what Uranus opposition is. And my higher self basically said, okay, you need to stop, listen, and really grok what this is, because this is going to make you or this is going to break you. So I became obsessed with understanding astrology at that point, because I had very little reference to astrology other than, just some of the basics. I knew what Saturn return was. I knew some of the basics about the sun signs, but the idea of a Uranus opposition coming in the form of a midlife crisis to grow you into your destiny path, I didn't quite understand all the astrology behind that. So that led me on a journey that eventually got me to here, where here I am, age 42. My Uranus opposition, my first pass of it happens this coming July, and it's an energy I'll be dancing with for the next 1.5 to 2 years. And I am very grateful that this is something that I got turned onto, because all of the decisions that I've made and all of the misdirections that I've made since that day have all been filtered through this knowledge that I have a really pivotal checkpoint coming up. And Jason, this incarnation, is accountable to the higher soul for what I'm here doing. And I am determined to live my destiny. I am determined to do the things that I came into this life to do. When I take that last breath, I want to be able to say that I came here and did what I intended to do, that I feel good about it, and that I'm ready for the next adventure. So preparing for that for me has meant getting rid of a lot of old energy. It's meant having to look at my life and seeing what is serving me, what is not serving me. And things have come up recently that they haven't been serving me, and now they're going away. They're getting cut away. And that's clearing space for me to do new things. One of my biggest challenges has been I have not been creating as much. I'm a writer. I didn't write for 10 years. I have the ability to speak and communicate. I barely spoke and communicated to anybody for like 7 years because I was so like behind my computer doing my things with my business that was like totally the opposite of all of that. And so in this opposition, of course, the universe is conspiring for you. Things get taken away so that you can clear space to have things come to you. And that's what I'm doing now. I'm actually being paid to do writing, and I'm starting to do my own writing. I'm doing these videos, communicating, talking about these teachings, these practices. And I know that that's part of my destiny. So I'm happy to be doing that. The other thing, though, that I've been doing, and this is going to lead me, or going to lead us into the meditation we're going to do, is I wanted to get very intentional about, okay, what on an energetic level do I need to be doing? And, during Uranus opposition, we want to be clearing out all of the old energy that hasn't been serving us, because we want to be breaking free from the patterns that have held us back. And one of the ways we do that is by sharpening our intuition, and it's by clearing our arc line. I've talked about the arc line on here before. Every human from earlobe to earlobe has one arc line. Every incarnated female human has nipple to nipple another arc line. And they're like energetic halos that form around the body. And all of the experiences that you've had in this life and in past lives are housed here in this halo. And this is where your intuition is. It's the sixth body in Kundaliniyoga. And we say that if you have a strong sense of intuition, then you have a strong sixth sense. The sixth chakra is right here at your third eye area. To really make it through the Uranus opposition successfully, I have found it helpful to do a meditation to clear the arc line, because only you know what you're here to do. I can look at your chart, I can talk to you, you can go to a therapist and have that person listen to you and reflect back to you. You can talk to your friends, you can talk, do all that stuff, hoping someone gives you the answers. But ultimately, you have the answers inside of you. And so the more you work on honing your intuition, the more in tune you are with your arc line, the quicker, the faster, the easier those answers are going to come to you, and the more success you're going to have in navigating this opposition. So Uranus opposition is really a Uranus opportunity. Before we start the meditation, I did make notes that I should probably look at. Make sure I covered everything. Yeah, just what can you do? So you can do this meditation that I'm going to teach, meditation to clear the arc line, but then just some general things, embrace change. That's the thing with Uranus opposition. Like when changes come, like when the relationship ends, when the job goes away, when you have to move out of the house, or like you got to move out of the city, just embrace that. Be excited about that. Find ways to be excited about that. Reevaluate your life too. Like if you're just sort of in this like ho-hum, waking up in the morning not being excited about anything, reevaluate that. What is it that turns you on? What kind of life do you want to live? Just because you're 42 doesn't mean your life is over. It's just beginning. Have that attitude. Cultivate some self-awareness too. Like this is a period of time when you need to be very in tune with you, and you should make space to give yourself opportunities to drop in with yourself. And I know that when we get to midlife, not everybody is a single guy with two rabbits like I am. A lot of you have marriages, a lot of you have kids. Making space for yourself is easier said than done. But sometimes making space for yourself is just 3 minutes. Like, can you just sit for 3 minutes and breathe? That's some space to try to do that if you can't do anything else. Anticipate restlessness. Like this is a period of time when you are going to have things come up that are going to confront you, and you're not going to like that confrontation, and you're going to feel restless. And if you're not doing your destiny already, especially, you're not going to feel satisfied with what's going on in your life. And you've got to let that restlessness be the catalyst for what moves you forward. You've got to be flexible too. We all have an idea of the way we want our life to unfold based on our ego desires, but there's a plan that we made before we got here that we forgot about. So we got to be flexible and allow that plan to happen and to come to fruition. This is also a really good time to strengthen your relationships. So like whatever existing relationships you have, really lean into those. And those relationships in your life that are challenging for you, especially if it's a romantic partner, one of the pieces of advice that Barbara Hand Clow gives in her book is that if you're in a relationship and the relationship is being challenged around the time of Uranus opposition, separate if you need to, but don't divorce. Wait until the Uranus opposition is over and then decide if divorce is the right path. And the reason she offers this advice is a lot of times the Uranus opposition, it's less about cutting people out of your life than it is just reorganizing you and your internal world and your external world. And once you get through that restlessness, once you get through the turbulence of all those changes, you might still want those people there in your life, and they might still want to be in your life. But it's understandable sometimes the relationship, we can feel that it's getting in the way of us doing the growth. So, if it is feasible, if that makes sense for you, that is a piece of advice Barbara Hand Clow gives. I am no relationship expert. I'm just telling you what she says in the book that sounded like pretty good advice to me. So, get to know Uranus, look at your chart, figure out where Uranus is in your chart. One of the things that's important to understand what the themes of your Uranus opposition is if you know the house that your natal Uranus is, it will oppose it in the polarity house. So if you have Uranus in the first house, you'll experience a Uranus opposition in the seventh house, which is the house of partnerships. If you, like me, have Uranus in the second house of self-worth, self-value, and money, you'll experience it at the polarity point in the eighth house of death, transformation, sex, and ultimately renewal. Also other people's money. I won't get into all of those themes in my life right now. Maybe I will in another video, but I'm very much understanding the dance of that polarity. And that's why it's important for you to know your natal Uranus, because, if you have some time to prepare for this, then you're going to know like, oh, okay, so I have Uranus in the first house, which is the house of the literal physical self. It's going to oppose in my seventh house, which is the house of marriage, partnerships, business partnerships, all kinds of partnerships. So maybe for you, your Uranus opposition is going to have something to do with how you relate and find fulfillment in your partnerships. Those are just helpful things to know. I think I've talked enough about Uranus opposition for now. I will probably do other videos about this in the future. Let's meditate and let's clean our arc lines a little bit, so that we can do what we came here to do. And we can use this Uranus opposition as a Uranus opportunity. So take the hands, rub them together, create a little heat. Place the hands at the heart center. And when we do these meditations, we tune in with a mantra that we call the Adi mantra. It's 5 simple words, and those words are Ong, O-N-G, Namo, Guru Dev Namo. Ong Namo, Guru Dev Namo. Ong Namo, bowing to the great creative force. Guru Dev Namo, bowing to the high teachers that brought us this technology, the highest teacher, of course, being yourself. So close your eyes, take a deep breath. Exhale. And inhale to begin. Om Namo Gurudev Namo. Om Namo Gurudev Namo. Om Namo Gurudev Namo. Sadguru Name, Jagatguru Name, Satguru Name, Sri Guru Deva Name, Radguru Name, Jagatguru Name, Satguru Name, Sri Guru Deva Name, Radguru Name, Jagatguru Name, Satguru Name, Sri Guru Deva Name. Inhale. And exhale. All right, so we're going to work with the mantra Wahe Guru, Wahe Guru, Wahe Guru, Wahe Gyo. And we're going to do that by doing the meditation to clear the arcline. So what you'll do is you'll take the hands and you'll cup them down here, kind of toward the solar plexus area, so kind of down by the chest. And I'm going to play a track with this mantra. And along with the track, we'll take the hands up over the arc line and we'll chant Wahe Guru. And we'll bring them back down. Wahe Guru. Wahe Guru. Wahe Gyo. We'll have our eyes closed while we're doing this. We're going to do this for 11 minutes. And what I would like you to do while you're doing this is just have an experience of the sound current. Wahe Guru, Wahe Guru, Wahe Guru, Wahe Gyo. I can tell you what it means. Wahe Guru is the ecstasy. It's the ecstasy of being alive. Gyo is the experience of the soul. It's Wahe Guru, Wahe Guru, Wahe Guru, Wahe Gyo. Essentially, it means, in a literal level, the ecstasy of being alive and you working on your own soul's growth, which is what we're doing to prepare for the Uranus opposition. That's the literal meaning of it, but you are going to have your own relationship with these mantras. That's what's most important. You developing a relationship with your sound current. That's why we chant mantras. Music moves emotions. Mantras move energy. And when we do meditations like this, where we're chanting Wahe Guru, Wahe Guru, Wahe Guru, Wahe Gyo, we're moving energy. And you need to have an experience of your own sound current, and you need to develop a relationship with that sound current and a relationship with your own energy. And when you do that, that's when you can really grock these checkpoints in your life. So have a relationship with this mantra as we chant this. And I'm going to get the timer going here. And we're going to play the mantra. Let's get going. Wahe Guru. Wahe Guru, Wahe Guru, Wahe Gyo, Wahe Guru, 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 Wahe Guru, Wahe Guru,
Wahejio, Waheguru, 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 Waheguru.
Now take a deep inhale. Have the arms stretched back over your shoulders. Hold the breath. Exhale, keep the arms up. Inhale. Exhale, keep the arms up one more time. Inhale. Exhale, sweep the arms down. That is meditation to clear the arcline. I started doing that meditation 600 something days ago, specifically to prepare myself for the Uranus opposition. So if you're wanting something to do to prepare yourself, or if you're in the thick of it, I highly recommend that. It's called Meditation Clear the Arcline. You could probably find it by Googling that. Feel free to DM me though if you would like me to send the write-up that has all the instructions. You can also come back to this video anytime to do it with me. I am going to start posting these videos soon on YouTube with those little timestamps so that you can go to specific things. My YouTube channel, hang on, I am going to pull it up so I can tell you exactly what the name, it's called the Aquarian Shift. I just need to figure out what the URL of it is. If you're not subscribed, I would like to invite you to do so. Tej Akaldeep. So if you go to youtube.com/tej, Tej, Akal, A-K-A-L, deep, D-E-E-P. That's my YouTube channel. It's called The Aquarian Shift. I'm going to start posting these videos there. I'm also going to start teaching some meditations and some classes on YouTube Live once I get enough subscribers. I'm about 30 subscribers away from being able to do that right now because I am just getting started. But it really is a privilege and an honor to be able to do these videos. I appreciate everybody who tunes in live, watches them later, comments, gets something out of them. This is my Uranus opposition work, is sharing these teachings and just trying to be what little bit of light I can be to a world that sometimes seems a little dark. But the reality is we live in Uranian times because Aquarius, the age we are now in, is ruled by the planet Uranus. So change is going to be the theme of the times, and we have to learn to just go with that and lean into that and get excited by that. I got excited by buying a t-shirt. That was my way of like being like, all right, Uranus, we're going to get good with each other. So do what you got to do, but clear your arc line. It really does help. Get into your own intuitive self, and see the Uranus opposition as a Uranus opportunity, because like I said, it's all happening for you. Nothing is happening to you. And with that, may the longtime sun shine upon you, all love surround you, and the pure light within you guide your way on. Satnam.